All those in favour, please say aye. Got that? Yeah, cool. Brilliant, thank you. Schedules of functions attended. 8.1. Attended by Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillors. Thank you again for those that have attended, such as the Deputy Mayor in Inua. Had a great time, and he will be reporting on that at a date into the future, probably with the girls that went. I think that's great, so we really look forward to that. And all those, I think Councillor Booth attended something as well, so I appreciate that. I'll move that report. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Burt, thank you. I'll put the motion now. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. 8.2 on page 42. Schedule of functions attended by the Chief Executive. And so, Stacey, did you just want to make a comment on that?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all fine, yep.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just noticed, I'm not sure if Bede is there today, but I noticed that he had attended the Rangitata Revival Program Steering Group meeting. We had a presentation from this group at Environmental Services last month, and I just wondered if Mr. Paul Cooper could provide an update on the Mana to Mana group meetings. I suppose as a governor, I just am a little bit concerned we're not aware of what's sort of the detail of these meetings and what implications that might have on council. So I'm just keen to understand the meetings, and yeah, just a little bit concerned about the community involvement with that sort of base flow conversation that's happening. So I'm keen to understand a little bit more if we need to be better aware of this as governors.
Thanks, Mr. Cooper.
Through you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Scott. I attend the Mana to Mana group in relation to the South Branch of the Rangitata, which I think is what you're interested in predominantly. Part of keeping governance updated on what was happening there was bringing or having that presentation that we had a couple of weeks ago at the Environmental Services Committee. You can see there's quite a lot of framing up of future conversations happening is what I'd call it. And when I did attend my first meeting, which was about 3 months ago in Christchurch at ECAN, there were a couple of points that I took away from that. I went in not knowing much, and probably in that vacuum being a little suspicious of who was doing what and why. But I came away from that meeting reassured that everybody was there in good faith, acting in good faith, and that what was missing possibly from the public view was the timeline or the time scale over which this conversation is happening. And Carl Russell from the Runanga spoke at the opening of that meeting, and he said basically for them it's aspirational, it's a goal, and it's intergenerational. It'll take decades, and he even mentioned, it could be 100 years. They're patient, and they'll just want to start the conversation. Obviously, there's many moving parts to that aspiration, in that there's a lot of complex land use rules or land use arrangements. There's leases, there's freehold land along there where the South Branch runs, and some of those leases are not straightforward. There might be lens, dock, and others that are involved in them. They're quite complex arrangements. So that's just one complexity. Another is that we've got roading through there. Two of the roads are gravel roads, I believe. Badham Road is sealed. And also down Badham Road, you've also got Alpine Energy power lines and assets through there as well. So we have a situation where in the present day we have intention with what that aspiration is, lawful businesses being operating lawfully on land that they can use for that purpose. The conversation is about, in the future, if it were possible, how might we bring it back to wetlands or having water running through there like the Runanga would like. And that's about as far as it's gone. There's work happening in the science side of things to understand what flow would be required for that to happen. Also, there's a climate change aspect to it, in that the frequency of heavy downpours and flooding is increasing. What will that mean for the future? Will the river take it back, regardless of what our conversations might be? There's a piece of work there around the talking to landowners, and the perception in the governance team, and quite rightly, at this point, is that there's been very little engagement in a meaningful way. So that's yet to happen. My understanding from the project lead who was at the ECAN meeting, was it Lee Griffiths? I think was the name of the person. She said that comms and engagement plan is underway, and that is something that will happen very shortly. And my understanding is, and we heard it from the presenters 2 weeks ago, that comms plan is still being crafted, but they hope to go public very soon and go out to those stakeholders and landowners. So what I'm saying is, it's a long-term conversation that has begun. No decisions have been required of us yet, but we do, or I and Bede, want to keep governance as well informed as we can do, which is why we brought that presentation a couple of weeks ago. And we hope to continue to do that. And if you're not getting what you need, please feel free to come and talk to me at any time. So that's about what I'd say there, Your Worship.
No, that's cool, and appreciate you keeping it high level. I guess the concern for us, and I've talked to farmers out in that area, that they're just, and this was the concern that we had from the Rakitata Revival presentation, was that they're not being represented at the moment. So I think if there was one message that governance could give for those that are attending, is actually that this is imperative, that those landowners are represented at a very early stage, i.e. now and not tomorrow, and to keep us informed. And the opportunity, I think, at some point, once we're better informed, will all be, do we need to take a position on this as such, or do we have enough information to? So it's something that we can discuss into the future, but I think the key thing is that, and please, if I'm not correct, if you disagree with me, please say so, but I think at the moment we would all wish that the landowners are well informed, because basic property rights under law exist in this space. Councillor Booth.
Yeah, but isn't entertaining this in the first place like the thin wedge in it's putting a wedge in there, and like entertaining it at all is, it's just opening up a can of worms potentially, by the sound of it.
I think, it's Stacey here. I think more, Alan, it's just around understanding the base flow, and just the communication to landowners need to be involved in that future strategy. So I think me and Nigel's right, and Paul, just around updating and good understanding as governors on what that future looks like. So yeah, I think just being regularly updated on that would be really good for our farming community.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Scott and Booth. I think I've heard mixed views from the farmers that I have talked to. Some are supportive but suspicious. Others are supportive of the aspiration more openly, and others are not supportive. So you've got a real mix of views and current landowners. And I think the sooner that this project group truly brings in the landowners to the conversation, the better we'll all be in terms of understanding what the appetite is for that conversation to continue.
Cool. That's probably enough. I think we can wrap that up. Everyone comfortable with that? Now the motion on the table, I'll go back to it, is to receive a note, schedule of functions attended by the Chief Executive. That's how we can go down a rabbit hole. That's wonderful. I'm happy to move that, Councillor Shannon. Appreciate that. But still a really valid conversation. So, and it's the opportunity to do it now. So I appreciate that. I'll put the motion now. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Scott, for bringing that up. Move to main report.